What's up, y'all? Shuffle, and today we're doing a trinket tier list. This is going to be the neutral, green, and white rarity trinkets, and then over the next two videos, we're going to make this a three-part series. We're going to cover the more rare trinkets and the boss trophies and class trinkets. So today we're doing neutral ones. To explain the tier structure, so these will all be weighted against themselves in like their respective brackets. There are some green trinkets that can be taken like at level 6, like surgical gloves, but otherwise, we're considering them in like their own little pocket dimension against each other. Because I think if you said like, are green trinkets as good as orange ones? Usually no, or blue ones. It's usually the more rare trinkets are the more powerful ones. So it's kind of, not the right way to do things if we do it as just some free for all giant pool of stuff. So we have S tier is the best. Like, these are universally just great. In some cases, like surgical gloves, you can take them even at level 6. You can take them over class trinkets. Usually class trinkets are better than neutrals, but there are some exceptions to this. A are like, they are good if you don't have good class trinkets, so these are really good alternatives. B are trinkets that if you find them and you don't have anything else that's really good yet, they're okay to sit there and, fill space. Same with the cell tier in a way, but cell tier is pretty much like once you find enough trinkets to make these like outdated or like you never have to take them again, you just sell them. And to some extent, you can start selling B tier trinkets as well. But I think A and S usually have either some kind of niche use or are just good like at all times. So I'm going to try and go quick on some of these and talk at length if I need to. Otherwise, don't be surprised if I speed bump over these. I have the trinket page open in a different tab here. I will link it in the description or down below or something like that so you can follow along. I know a lot of these just by looking at them, so I apologize for not like having the cool overlay showing you the stats. Actually, maybe we can just go over there, right? But so accuracy stone, this is a solid A because it is a white trinket, but losing 1 speed does suck. And for accuracy, it's pretty hard to get accuracy early in the game, especially when you can't get access to the guild and stuff like that for the first few weeks. So having some source of accuracy is pretty nice starting off. So that's the same thing for the Archer's Ring. It's 1 point more accuracy. Why is it not here? Oh, it's a common, right? Yeah, so -1 speed, 5 range accuracy. Same thinking here. Bleed Amulet, this is S. Bleed is the most common damage over time type by quite a bit. Usually Blights hit harder, but there are some very strong bleeds like Arterial Pinch out there, and bleed is just way more common. So having something that gives you bleed resist, I should actually look at it. I said I wasn't going to do this, and here I am doing it. So you get +20 bleed resist, and then you get +20 bleed skill chance, and -20% blight resist. The blight resist is pretty negligible in there. Sorry about that, I had to pause my commentary for half a second. The bleed chance is also really good, and there are a lot of characters that make use of this. So like Jester, Flagellants, Houndmaster, they all like this thing, and resisting bleed is never ever bad. Kind of goes for this too. This is the, there's bleed charm, or like bleed amulet, blood charm, bleed charm, right? It's just overlapping and stuff. Echo, do not bother me now, sir. I think he just wants to look out the window. But this is, it's a white rarity trinket here. But 20 bleed resist and 2 dodge, that's not a really big trade-off. And having bleed resist early is really nice. It's pretty hard to get accuracy and resist early on. There are trinkets that give it to you, obviously, but finding solid numbers of it is always welcome. Bleed stone, this is A, and that's because it's the -1 speed is a way worse penalty than -2 dodge, so we don't like it that much, but it is nice to have increased bleed chance. I just wish it was a little higher. If it was like 20%, I might bump it up to S, but obviously that'd be kind of busted. Next up is Blight Amulet. So this is the mirrored equivalent of Bleed Amulet, where it's +20% blight chance and blight resist while subtracting bleed resist. The characters that can use blight usually have pretty solid class trinkets to give them more access to blight. So that's why You know, for instance, Jester doesn't have... I don't think Jester has, like, a bleed... No, he has, like, one bleed chance up trinket, and it's, like, okay. So having something like this that's a lot better, even in neutral, is good for him. But a lot of the characters like Shieldbreaker, Grave Robber, and Plague Doctor, like, they have really good ways to get Blight that they don't need this, so it's not as good. But, like, if you find it, it's still usable. And the other thing is, you lose Bleed Resist on top of it, and Bleed Resist is way more important than Blight Resist, so it's okay to lose it here, but it's not as okay to lose it here, so that's why it's A right there. And I can't remember if this is Disease or the Blight Resist thing. I think it's the Blight. I think this one's Disease. Let's see. Like Blight, Amulet or something. Disease Charm, Blight Charm, right? Yeah. So 20 Blight Resist. This is pretty solid. If you need Blight Resist, there you go. You know, -2 dodge. Again, Bleed is more important than Blight Resist, so that's why Bleed's always going to take precedent. And that kind of makes this down... No, this is about the same, actually. It is nice to have your Blight chance go up, especially because some of the good Blight chance trinkets for classes are harder to find, like they're higher rarities. So, like, was it Plague Derb or Disease Derb or whatever it is for Plague Doctor? That increases her Blight chance. That's, I think, blue, so it's a little harder to get. Shieldbreaker, she gets one common one, which is nice. But then after that, it's like Crimson Court set or Spectral Spear Tip. That's where she gets Blight after that. So having some common thing right here for 15 Blight is pretty nice. And a lot of the characters that do Blight have pretty good speed. So losing 1 point isn't the end of the world for them. This thing, Bleed Charm or Blood Charm. My goodness, I hate the naming system. Yeah, Blood Charm. So there's Bleed Charm, now there's Blood Charm. But Blood Charm, this is way strong. Like, I've brought this into level 6 dungeons just because the flat bleed resist on it is so high comparatively, like to like it's green power level, so to speak, so it's really nice, you know, until you find like Cleansing Crystal or Fortifying Garlic. This thing does a pretty good job of supplementing you. This Bloodied Fetish, I want to make it S for a common. I'm gonna make it A. So Bloodied Fetish. So you get 20 Blight and Bleed Resist, and then you lose 20 Disease Resist. The reason this isn't S is because usually there are not like copious amounts of both damage over time effects in the same dungeon, so this is just kind of a catch-all thing. And losing 20% Disease Resist is pretty terrible. There are a couple regions like the Weald where disease is very prevalent, and if you get hit with it early, because, you know, this is a common trinket, you get hit with it early, that's a few hundred gold you probably can't afford, or you have to sit there with, like, the syphilis disease or the red plague or something like that, which we don't like too much. This ring that's coming up next. Okay, this thing's bad. So it's... This is actually Cell tier. So the reason is the minus food consumed is nice. So if you're running a party that has like Arbalest healer or something, not Vessel healer, so you need to like eat food more often, that's where the minus food consumed comes in. That's pretty cool. But the fact that it's minus healing received by quite a serious cut, minus 25% is a pretty big cut. It's not like minus 10 where it would just shave a point off. Like, this could be like 2 or 3 points in some cases, so it's pretty bad. And then you get 10% HP on top of it, so it's like if you got 25% HP, then maybe, so something like Ancestor's Bottle, I'm kind of looking at that. But you don't even get that. You just get 10% HP. That's like it's like 2 hit points or 3 hit points at that level, sometimes 4. So just not that good. I would actually sell this like every time I see it. This Book of Constitution, this is okay. It's pretty solid for resist, and the minus speed does suck. But like I said, Blight isn't as common as Bleed, so we can't put it higher. If this was Bleed and Disease, we probably put it in A. So what's coming up next? Book of Holiness. I did my best to keep these in order, and this is going to be another Cell tier trinket. The minus 20% stress is pretty awesome, so you could make the case for maybe B. But the minus Death Blow, this almost makes your Death Blow 50-50, so you have a 1 in 2 chance to die every time you're on Death's Door, and that sucks. So it's like, if you're expecting a lot of stress and low damage, then maybe. But things like if you are just doing a boss mission or something that has some hard mini bosses, or like Veteran when you first get there and you're fighting the stronger units, the minus death blow is a lot more threatening, and there are ways to get stress resist that don't involve lowering your death blow chance. And like there are quite a few, and there's stress healers and stuff like that. So it's not as important. So that minus death blow is pretty punishing. And this thing is, I think, Book of Intuition. I'm not trying to flex with the knowledge. I just know these because I did a practice. I shouldn't even say practice, right? I tried to do this video before and I messed up. So I got to see all these at least once. So minus 20% party surprise, pretty good. Minus 1 speed sucks. This would be A if it had the effect like Ancestor's Lantern, where you get the chance to surprise the enemy as well, but you don't. So it's okay. Like, this is something that once you find a couple like resist trinkets or damage trinkets that are in this pool, like this never comes out of the box after that. So like you use this until you find something better. Book of Rage, I remember not liking it. Let's take a look here. So minus 10% bleed and blight resist, and then you have a pretty big damage spike if you get under a third. This would be better if it was like under 40%, and maybe like if this was like 15% and then 5% crit, that'd be a little more fair. But it's a pretty big boost, but no one likes to sit under 1/3, because at 1/3, that's like a lot of attacks don't even have to crits if you're not Leper or Crusader or something like that to put you to Death's Door. So a lot of characters, 1/3 HP is, you know, about 10 to 15. That's a pretty solid hit. That's not even a crit in certain instances. So I'm actually gonna make this B here because I don't want to have a power spike and then hit Death's Door the next turn and then like have to deal with all the Death's Door debuffs and all the shenanigans and the chance of losing someone at that point. Plus the minus resist means that you're going to be more prone to dying because you're going to be trying to be low health to get the effects. Actually, this is cell tier. This is actually bad. I'm sure there's going to be like one comment where someone goes, actually, I did a pretty sick run where, you know, I went on this boss mission and I had this on and I was able to like get them to low health and then use guard with Man-at-Arms. And now as I'm saying that out loud to myself, maybe it is B. But if you can babysit this, it's really good. If you can't babysit it, it's pretty bad. So I'll leave it at that instead of going on my tangent. This Book of Relaxation is actually pretty good. There's a case to make this S. It might actually be S. So as we see here, minus 10% stress, pretty good, especially in the uncommon pool. 4 accuracy. Accuracy is pretty hard to get at lower trinket rarities. Minus 4 dodge isn't the end of the world. A lot of characters just don't care about that. So it's actually really strong. Calming Crystal, minus 15% stress, minus 1 speed. I like this one a lot. It's a pretty big boost of minus stress. And minus 1 speed isn't as impactful. Like, it matters, but once you start getting into trinkets that are like plus or minus 2 speed, or in some cases 4, those hurt a lot more to have those swings. But minus 1 speed isn't exactly backbreaking. The only person that wouldn't really want this is like Plague Doctor, because she just wants to go first, so she needs as much speed as possible. But even then, you can still put it on her, so it's good. Camo Cloak, most players are probably playing in High Torch. I should have put this in my Sins video about why a Camouflage Cloak, which relies on shadows and being stealthy, gets stronger when there's more light. Maybe the enemies don't perceive light like the living do or something. But since most of us are playing in highlight most of the time, the 15 dodge is pretty strong. It's basically just no conditional thing at that point. So unless you're fighting a certain mini boss that likes to knock out the lights, then this thing is usually on. And the minus stress, or not stress, the minus stun chance or resist isn't a big deal, honestly, because you have a chance of dodging said stuns, but also a lot of the enemies that have stuns to be worried about don't start appearing until veteran. So if you get this in like an early dungeon, you know, and you're like level 0 to 2 area, this actually pretty much has no downside. But even then, stuns aren't super common. But obviously be aware. If you know who is going to be stunning, have some kind of plan, or just don't take this. Caution Cloak, I wanted to put this in cell tier, but the reason I haven't, so this is plus 10% scouting chance, and then minus 10 speed on the first round. There are some characters that just don't care about speed at all in like turn 1. Like Leper doesn't care about going first. Crusader will never go first. Vestal, some people like to run slow Vestal. I don't, but if you like that, this might be applicable. So there are a lot of slow characters out there, and it's only for one turn. And the flip side is you get 10 scouting. Scouting is very powerful and very helpful. So having access to it very early in the white pool is pretty nice. And sadly, it does have a pretty crappy trade-off, but it's not the end of the world. I hear one of my cats coming in, but we're going to talk about Chirurgeon's Charm. This thing is S tier. It's just a solid source of big healing early on. Oh my god, Echo. Yeah, it's a solid source of healing early on, and it has no downside. I'm going to have to take a cat break. My goodness. Sorry about that. I have more cat shenanigans. I can't remember where I was at here. I think I was talking about Chirurgeon. So just really good source of healing early on. Feels a little harder to get to than some of the other green trinkets, but it's good. If you find it, it's pretty much like an auto use on all healers until like late game. So really good trinket here. This is, I think, the crit stone. This is cell tier for sure. Man, it is just one thing after another today. So the critical stone, this thing is cell tier. I had it open here. It's 3 crit, 1 speed penalty. The reason we don't like the critical stone, I was going to say crit stone, the critical stone is just because at low level you're trying to find accuracy and resists and maybe like some plus healing or minus stress or something like that. You do not need crit that early, especially when all your weapons and skills are like low rank, level 1, level 2, stuff like that. This thing is just never good, in my eyes anyway. Dodge stone, there's another one. I think that is... yeah, -1 speed for 4 dodge is a pretty bad trade-off. Although dodge does scale pretty well early on, losing 1 speed for like 4 dodge is just not worth it. Damage stone, I think this is... right, where is it? Is it a very common? No, I'm in very common. Is it a common? It must be. Yeah, 10% damage for 4 dodge. This, you could argue this is S. It's really good. It's really good early on. Like I said, dodge does scale the hardest early game, so obviously any sources of gaining or losing it are somewhat impactful, but it's good. You can put this on like Crusader or Leper or something like that, get them 1 or 2 extra points of damage, and it is nice, let me tell you. So the next thing, I think it's what, Dark Bracer? Yeah. So, okay, this thing is just bad. Yeah. In low light, you are more worried about surviving in a lot of cases, and in like a torchless run, I would rather have access to, this might be B honestly, but I would rather have access to like more accuracy, more speed, anti-surprise, plus scouting. There's so many things I'd rather have than like 8 crit and 5 dodge. The torch penalty for enemy accuracy is much higher than this. I think it's like 12%. So this doesn't even offset that. I mean, it helps against it, but like you're giving up a fair amount here. So 8 crit, 5 dodge as a trinket, it's actually not too bad. It's just the condition that it's in is kind of crappy. So there are usually other things you want to take over this, in my experience. I always have to qualify my statements with, in my opinion, just in case. Dazzling Charm, this thing is S tier. It's just really good. You can even use this at high levels if you don't have like good stun trinkets. Or in the case of Hellion, she doesn't get stun trinkets, so having some neutral stun trinket in the pool is awesome. And again, we're comparing this to its fellow common trinkets, so it's just way good in the common pool, and it actually stands up pretty well in the green pool, but obviously there's stun amulets, so that's something else. Debuff amulets it's nice. Debuffs are pretty common. Like it's surprising how many debuffs are just out there. There are a lot of enemies that just put random, plus 10% stress, minus 10% bleed resist, minus 2 speed, right? There's just a lot of random debuffs out there, so being able to block them is pretty nice. And there are a few fights where you can put this on a cultist and he can spam Weakening Curse and it just completely neuters them. So that makes it really cool. So this does have a place. It's just the fact that debuff strategies for the player aren't that common or powerful, but when you get to use them, they are pretty nice. So this debuff resist charm, like I said, this thing, what is it? Is it just literally debuff charm? It's our very common pool. Yeah. So 20 debuff resist at the cost of 2 dodge. Pretty good trade-off. And like I said, debuffs are pretty common, so if you get this early, you know, you can just put it on people. Like in every dungeon, it will block stuff. Like every single dungeon run, this will block stuff, which is pretty nice. At the same time though, like once you, like debuffs are common, but they're not oppressive like bleed can be or stress is, right? So it's not as important to block them, and it's like once you get other stuff, this thing just gets sold or just sits in your box for the rest of the game. This is Cell Tier. So this is the other end of that coin. So this is plus debuff skill chance at -1 speed. The only person you really stack debuff chance on is Occultist, and he has other ways to get it. He has class trinkets, he has debuff amulet later on. This thing is just bad at the cost of 1 speed, and Occultist really wants speed. I can't think of anyone else that would want this. What else? What's next? I was trying to think there for a second, but I realized I need to move. Deteriorating bracelets. Is this? Yeah, we're in very common. Why is this a common? I passed it. Oh, bracer. So when you're over 75% life, 10 dodge. When you're under 75% life, which is what you should be paying attention to as well, -10 dodge. When you're under half, another -6. So if you're under half, it's actually -16 dodge from where you started. That is really bad. So like maybe Grave Robber can pull this off, or like Guard Spam Houndmaster early on, but this is still just bad because you get hit once, you're under 75. You get hit twice, you're under 50. You get crit once, you're probably under 50 as well. So this thing becomes garbage and dead weight very easily and very soon. So I don't think it's good at all. Disease resist, if you have nothing else to help you for this disease charm here. So plus 20% disease resist, -2 dodge. Pretty good trade-off. If you have nothing else and you're going to like the Warrens, this thing is actually cool, especially if you run into the Spitters. Otherwise, again, you get other sources of disease resist, and it's also that disease is not as common. And in just any point in the game. Like, it's there, and when it happens, it sucks, but by the time you have to worry about it a lot, you have other ways to get around it. You have camp skills, you have upgraded facilities, stuff like that. So it's not as detrimental. But early on, it's good until you get like Fortifying Garlic. Gambler's Charm, this is an instant sell to me. This is, I think we talked about something else that had Deathblow resist drop. So this one is better than the Book of Holiness because the extra HP will help you not die. But still, anything that's -10% Deathblow puts you down to, I think, 57% chance base. That is crap. We don't want to have to roll Deathblow, and even if it takes us an extra hit to get there, we still don't want that threat because it's literally just like a crit away. You're almost a crit away at all times from Death's Door, especially if you're like half health. It sucks. This is the Health Stone. So where are you, Health Stone? Man, I should have organized these by color, but I was too lazy, and I am paying for it. So yeah, 10% HP for 1 speed. Pretty good on a lot of characters. Early on, I think even at level 0 on Grave Robber, I think this is 2 HP. You know, it's not a huge amount, obviously, for her, but 2 HP is 2 HP. So this will find use early on until, obviously, you start finding better stuff. Heavy Boots. I do not actually like these. I don't like Heavy Boots, but my Discord loves Heavy Boots. So 20 prot, -2 speed, plus 40% move resist. All of those are actually very relevant and surprisingly good stats. So the reason the protection is good, obviously, it shaves off a couple points. And it's not 10%, which would just shave off 1 point. It's 20%. So I could shave off 2-3 points sometimes, which is really nice. The move resist isn't a huge issue, although it does seem pretty cool for Leper. But like I said before in other videos, you can get people pushed and pulled in front of you, so the move resist doesn't matter as much. But the -2 speed is actually pretty cool. So normally speed is a penalty, but having some access, or I should say -2 speed is a penalty, but having access to a -2 speed in the green pool of trinkets means you can pull off speed-reliant strategies. Like if you have dancing teams where someone has to go first, you put the Heavy Boots on the person that has to go second. Arbalest can make good use of these. So there are a lot of instances where heavy boots are actually really good if you can be creative enough. So I do think they're pretty strong, I just don't usually use them. The Life Crystal is like an upgraded Hellstone. I think it's B as well. The 20% is pretty strong though. It might be A. But the reason I don't think I'm going to put it in A is because once you start finding green trinkets consistently, this thing has to fight against class trinkets. So all of these can actually be taken over class trinkets in like a variety of circumstances. These struggle to find spots once you have class trinkets, and I think Life Crystal struggles for that, but it is good if you don't have anything like else to use. So I accidentally started to do like a spoiler when I started talking about this, so I'm just not going to. But the move amulet I am going to put into B. The reason is the move skill chance is pretty good. The move resist is pretty worthless to me. But there are some enemies that just straight up lose if they get pulled or pushed. So if you can have like Damon's Pull Occultist or Uppercut Come Hither Bounty Hunter to move people around consistently, then this thing can actually do a lot of indirect damage, so to speak. Like it can just win games. You know, you pull someone up and then the frontliner goes to rank 3 or 4 and they just get to do nothing, which is pretty awesome. So this thing does have some use. So if you have some kind of move dependent strategy, it's worth using. This thing, and we're going to look at these together. So we have the foot, like the Hermes foot, and then we have this move stone. I think they're right next to each other in the trinket list, which is why I put them together like that. Or which is why I did them at the same time. So move stone is -1 speed plus move skill chance. So we like proactive approaches in Darkest Dungeon, so having our chances to do things increase is great. So having, same thing as the amulet. So if you have a move strategy, then this pretty much enables it. And on the same foot, move resist is bad. Losing 1 speed for it is even worse. So this is just garbage. Protect stone. I want to say it's cell tier, but I don't think it quite is. So +5 prot, even this minuscule amount of prot does shave off 1 damage. So shaving off 1 damage when your HP max is like 24 is actually pretty good. You get hit like 2 or 3 times, that's like 3 damage, right? That you just blocked. So it's nice. It's better than nothing, but this gets outdated pretty quickly. Reckless Charm, this thing is amazing. I can find it. So this only comes from the wield, so you have to like actually go there and try and get it. But 5 accuracy, -2 dodge. Very hard to get accuracy early on, like we've been talking about. Losing 2 dodge is probably the best downside to a common trinket. And it's not even like accuracy stone or archer's ring where it's like accuracy for speed or ranged accuracy. Like this is just all accuracy for like almost no trade-off. And it's 5 instead of 4 in this case. So this is super good. So like if this is A tier, then power creep of same thing is also S tier. I'm talking way too fast. I'm starting to like trip over my own words. I need to slow down. Normally I would edit something like that out, but you know what? We're just gonna appreciate my beauty for who I am. This thing, Seer Stone, this is S. So scouting chance, very hard to get. And getting a large amount of it early is really nice. Losing 1 speed, not the end of the world. You put this on Vestal or Crusader, whoever your support is, and then you give them like Chirurgeons if you have it. So you have like healing, and then you have support. I do like to run healing and then like support trinket on my support characters. So like at high level, I will run Salacious Diary and then Ancestor's Map for instance. So having that combo at lower levels is really nice. One of these 2 cloaks sucks. I think it's this one. Yes, it is this one. So Shimmering Cloak. -8 dodge, or +8 dodge, not bad. -1/3 healing, that can get out of my face. That's just not that good. I would rather have max HP. I would rather have, I don't know, protection. I do like dodge as a defensive stat. It does scale better early game, but losing 1/3, -33% healing. You're fighting against like Chirurgeons, which is only +15%. Junie's head is 30%. So losing 33% effective healing on someone for 8 dodge is just bad. Like, Camouflage Cloak is just better. It has a stronger benefit. The condition just is whatever. And then the downside is way more manageable. So this thing is just crap. Slippery boots, if you find these early, like week 2 or something like that, they can be used. So this is dodge for move resist. Like move resist is basically just non-existent to me. I just don't consider it in a lot of things. So if you find these, they are useful. Snake oil is S tier. This is just minus 10% stress for free. No downside. This is just a smaller book of sanity. Really no other commentary needed. Solar Bracer. I think this is where Dark Bracer gives us 4% more crit. We are more likely to be playing in highlights, so this actually does have some merit. So I think this is more applicable to more playstyles. Like people doing Torchless are just doing it for the challenge, and I'm not shaming that by any means. I'm not saying like, you're just doing Torchless to do it. Like that's pretty much what it is. But otherwise, most of us are playing in highlights, so I think this finds a lot more use, and it doesn't have to fight as hard for trinket slots against darkness mechanics. So like the Dark Bracer has to fight against scouting and anti-surprise or recovery and protection. Like in highlight, you can just go ham. So having something that gives you some crit and some dodge is just pretty good. Speedstone, this is just +1 speed. I don't even know why I'm going to scroll to it, but we're just being consistent. +1 speed. Just good. No downside. No conditional +1 speed. We like that. Steady Bracer, I think this is... I think it is S, right? Yeah. 10 accuracy for ranged, which is pretty nice at the cost of 2 dodge. Range accuracy is not as big of an issue as melee accuracy, but like Houndmaster specifically really enjoys having this. So having a big +10 accuracy for basically no downside is good. There's no negative to it. Stun Amulet, this is also S. This thing used to be more busted. Where are you, Stun Amulet? You're right here in my face. So 10 stun skill, I think this used to be 30. They put it to 10, which is fine. It was just busted. Stun resist and the -4 dodge. Pretty small downside for a lot of big upsides. This thing is cell tier. This is the Stun Charm. You know, I just need to grab the slider. Boop. I think you passed it. Yeah. So 20 stun resist for 2 dodge. Stun is not common at 0 to 2. There are only a few enemies that have it. I'm on the wrong thing here, but there are only a few enemies that have it, so having something that gives it to you at like level 0, you honestly don't need it. I'd rather just sell this for gold. Stunstone, this is Dazzling Charm that has been power crept. So this is stun chance for -1 speed. So -1 speed, not the end of the world. Obviously, we want no downside, so if this is S, that means this is probably A. Surgical gloves are busted. Like, surgical gloves could... Like, they're itemized to be a blue trinket at minimum. So you have 8% melee crit, 5% melee accuracy. Move resist, we said we don't care about. And then debuff resist, this does kind of suck, but it's only 10%. There's so many upsides to this. Like, I use this at level 6. I use this in Endless Harvest. I use this in endgame missions. I use these things everywhere. They're so powerful. So, like, you can use these alongside class trinkets like Bounty Hunter. You can use Hunter's Talon for the accuracy and the crit chance, and then use these for more accuracy and more crit chance if you don't have Jester, stuff like that. There's just not enough good things I can say about this. Or, like, I have no... How would I say that? No shortage of good stuff? I don't know. I can praise this for like 10 minutes. So if you can find these, I would actually buy these out of the Nomad Wagon. It's one of like 2 trinkets I would buy from the Nomad Wagon if I had to. Like, I would spend like 5,000 gold or whatever it is. These things are amazing. Survival Guide is S. This is just Ancestors minimap. Oh my god, that's such a funny way to say it too. I'm laughing at my own jokes. So 10 scouting, 10 trap disarm, -1 speed. -1 speed, not a big penalty, but being able to potentially have your Vestal disarm traps or just having access to extra scouting is amazing, especially early on. The Shimmering Cloak. Still scrolling through stuff. Oh, Swift Cloak, that's what it is. 2 speed at the cost of move resist, not a big deal. So +2 speed for basically no downside. And if you really need to, you can just plan your team to dance to fix positioning, but these are good. Or this cloak's really good. I like using this. Tenacity Ring. Is that B? That's B. So Tenacity Ring, I don't like it that much because losing 5 crit is a pretty big deal. And the 5 dodge is kind of negligible. So you're really just getting the 10 death blow out of this, which is nice. You know, like if you have nothing else and you have some weak gear, but you found this, you know, maybe you got it from a lucky loot drop and you have to fight like a low level boss, then having death blow resist is better than not having it. So I still think it's okay. Warrior's Bracer, is this S? It may be. It may not be. It might be. It's definitely A. At the earliest. So -4 dodge for 10% melee damage. It's A. Okay, so here's why it's A. So you get 10% melee damage, which is nice. The melee damage dealers do naturally hit harder than range, so having percentage increase helps them more than range damage dealers. And the -4 dodge is pretty negligible, but the reason this is an S is because in levels 0 to 2, you're fighting for accuracy harder than anything else. So if you can get your accuracy in check, this is S. If you cannot get your accuracy capped, this is A. Until then, it's just good overall. You know, like you can use this into probably like level 3 sometimes if you don't have good class trinkets, but it's solid. And Warrior's Cap, which is right under it, so no surprise, no downside for 5 melee accuracy. Melee characters do have lower accuracy naturally in most instances, so giving them 5 accuracy for no downside is incredible. Especially early. So let's see, Worry Stone. Yeah, this is probably S. It could be, it might be A. It's A. So you do lose 1 speed. It's kind of weird because Snake Oil is a common trinket and it's probably better than this. Because you have plus stress resist, which means you are not going to be getting afflicted as often, so the virtue doesn't come into play. It may never come into play, but you're also trading 1 speed for it. So I think Snake Oil is actually better, surprisingly, in a lot of circumstances, but these are pretty equivalent in terms of power level. It's just like you trade 1 speed for 10 virtue, which isn't bad. So it's nice. All right, I guess that's it for this, right? So we're out of common trinkets and uncommon ones, so thanks for watching. Next time we're going to do the blue and orange ones and boss trophies. Then after that we'll do class trinkets. So this was pretty fun. I know it went a little fast. I had to take a couple breaks, and actually probably didn't go fast at all. I still talked. I was trying to not talk too long about stuff. I still did. I had to deal with my cats a couple times, so I apologize about that. Otherwise, like I said, pretty fun to do. In the future, I'm going to be doing, like I said, the 2 more videos of this. I'm working on the Arbalest guide. I'm also working on a new player guide. I literally just started typing it. I haven't even typed it yet. I just lied. I have not even opened a Word document to start scripting it, but I will. I'm going to do that like right after this. So the Arbalest guide is also coming. It just took a back seat to all the other stuff I wanted to do. And join Discord if you haven't already. Let me know what you think. Let me know your opinions and all of that. I will try to remember to link the trinket page and the tier list maker and stuff like that in the description or down below. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.